Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your fantastic visionary hosts. Joining me, as always, is our other fantastic and visionary host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
I love that you're so upbeat with your word choices this week.
Right?
And not like
Yeah,
nightmare
yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah. I thought I would
you
like.
know,
I think this is the first time ever they have been like purely complimentary, right? Probably.
probably. Yeah,
Just
this
keeps you
is
on your
what's
toes.
it's true. I'm
Yeah.
like, that came out of
Oh,
nowhere.
wow. Okay, I'm fantastic and visionary. Thank you very much.
Makes me feel good about myself right away. Um, what's the
What
crack?
is the crack?
I don't know how to talk about like how, I know we don't talk about the world and like what's going on in the world,
Yeah,
but I feel like there's enough happening that like we just have to acknowledge that. Are
shit
you
be
guys having
crazy.
an egg shortage or is that just us?
I think it's mostly you guys. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think we're having any major problems. I mean, like, I can only speak from my experience, but I've been able to buy eggs without issue and the price hasn't went through the roof. So yeah,
Okay. Like an 18 pack of eggs is like 15 bucks American right
that's
now.
nuts.
And we refrigerate them, which is the normal way to do things. But yeah, I guess it's shortages because of the avian flu that's going around.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm aware that I've seen like stories about like, people queuing like at dawn at Costco just to get
Yes,
eggs and things like that.
someone
And it's
stole, I can't remember what state or city, but it was like on some, it was on the Drudge Report. Okay, I'm admitting it. I have a problem reading the Drudge Report every fucking day, multiple times. But he was like somewhere in some place in the country. I'm really doing a good job today so far.
yeah,
Someone stole like 500 eggs. And
why?
like the Waffle House, if you've been to America, you've probably been or seen
I've seen them.
a
I
Waffle
haven't been
House.
in one. I really want to go to one. I've never been in one.
Yeah, I mean any place that's open 24 hours a day, it's like ugh. But they're doing like a surcharge on eggs because like that's I mean, it's like so much of our culture is based on breakfast and
Yeah,
like diner culture here. So
that's so true. Actually, I suppose like as well, obviously you know, any bakeries are going to need eggs and things like that as
yeah,
well. So there's
it's a big
such
yeah.
demand. Yeah.
And I've always talked about, God, I'm so weird this morning. Sorry, but like eggs are so interesting, right? Scramble them, you put them in other
Yep.
foods, you can fry them, you can make huevos rancheros, which is the best
Yeah.
meal of all time. So I
Hmm.
don't know, that's happening. We now, yeah, I just like, I feel like I'm like being hit with a fire hose
Yeah.
every day.
It is brutal. And I mean, like,
Is it affecting you guys?
and not massively. I mean, again, as an individual, not really. But like, I
Yeah.
think that all the stuff with the tariffs and things like that is going to have a real interesting sort of knock-on effect worldwide. I, you know, and I've had other American friends talk to me about this, and they really can't understand the fixation with American politics. But like, I think that it's, you know, for better for worse, because America is so big and because America is, arguably the most prominent, the most important country in the world, American
We like to
politics,
say we're the biggest superpower.
yes. I like, there's some truth there for sure. But like,
No, no.
I mean, you're in the conversation at least anyway. And
Yeah, a
I
little
feel
bit.
like, whether you like it or not, it absolutely has an impact on how the rest of the world works, and like they are a leader in a lot of things, like a thought leader and like policy leader, that sort of thing. And obviously their contribution to global organizations is obviously pretty important too. So it's definitely something I think people are at a minimum kind of nervously watching and seeing how it all kind of plays out.
I feel like I cursed us. Like I made a bad joke after I came to see you
Hmm.
and like after visiting London too. And I was like, this is all just so nice and you have all this access and like, quality of life is better. Like maybe we need a monarchy. And I think it's my fault.
No. Like I think I have seen some compelling, chat about um, you know, basically governments around the world are changing just because inflation has been so bad and prices have been
Yeah.
going up, and that is such an important topic to people around the world, and that this government, it really didn't really matter who was at the head of it. It was probably going to change anyway. I think that it's a shame that perhaps a certain person did get into power, but it probably was fairly inevitable. It's just
Yeah.
kind of dealing with the fallout now.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's to blame. I just think that there's a lot of turmoil worldwide, and as a result, you see a lot of like, these political changes happening. Yeah, it sucks. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, freaking, there's a political party called Reform UK who have got really big here
Uh-huh.
recently, like really
Uh-huh.
big, and it's like, fuck me, the same sort of populist sort of, heavily right-wing bullshit, like, and they're just, you know. It's not your fault, it's everybody else's fault, sort of stuff that like, gets people into power. And all too
Yeah.
often when they get into power, they're completely fucking incompetent and and so the world turns.
And so the world turns. So, I got out of the house
Good.
finally, and I took my daughter to see Wicked on
Oh
stage.
yeah.
They're doing the Broadway tour. It was so good. It was so good.
Hmm.
Like for those who have seen the movie and or seen the play, like the defying gravity part in the show on stage is like so much better than in the movie. It's like you can't really compare the two, but it was really fun. Um, we skipped school because I'm a
Nice.
cool mom, and like yeah, it was like it was almost a 3 hour show. And then after that, I took her out and we went out to dinner, like right on the water, on the ocean, saw like porpoises and dolphins and all the things that like to come out when Andy visits. Um, but it was so fun. And it like took all my energy, but I did it
Nice.
and she had a great time. And yeah, that was a nice part of my week.
That rocks. I would love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, and Wicked really wasn't on my radar. I really didn't know. I had a vague idea that I know what it was about, but like it wasn't really on my radar until I saw the movie and I loved it. And yeah, I definitely like to see the stage production now for sure. And I'm really curious to see how it works versus the movie as well.
It's really good. It's
Yeah,
like because I hadn't seen it in so long that I was like, how is this even going to work? And like, I'm going to be disappointed, and I really, really wasn't. So
that's great.
that's
Very
all. I
awesome.
don't want to ruin all of the stage magic, but
Yeah,
it was fucking awesome.
it's on my list. I mean, the songs are also excellent, and I think that's what really makes the show because like I have definitely seen shows that are well put together and well staged. But if the songs aren't there, it's just, it was like Moana 2. I mean, it's a different thing,
I was
obviously.
like, we're on the same wavelength. I was literally going to say Moana too because it was just like
None
it
of the
was like
song,
weren't even on an island. They were like
no,
in an underwater magic land the whole time. It was,
like
whatever.
the core song, the song that starts with is okay. It's good, I would say, but I think all the other songs are at least medium to bad, and it's such a shame because
You're like, it wasn't Lin-Manuel
Manuel
Miranda.
Miranda, yeah, unfortunately. And it's a shame because apparently, like for Moana 2, they actually properly tapped into authentic, musicians and composers from, the islands that it was based on.
Hmm.
So, I, had such high hopes for it. It's just, I just wish it had worked better for me.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah.
What about you?
So what have I got? So, still playing D&D. I've been having a great time with that. It's interesting. Like I didn't really prepare as much for the last session, so it was a little bit more seat of the pants type of thing. But I kind of quite like that in a perverse way. I like having to think on my feet. So the storyline that they're basically playing is that they have been hired to guard a vault. There's going to be an auction the next day. They have been told they've been asked to guard it overnight, and as things happen, and like it's really interesting because it's kind of like, what are they going to do? Are they going to try to loot the vault? Are they going to try to escape? Are they just going to be trying to be good boys and like protect it? But there are two core characters that I really enjoy playing, and I really wasn't sure. One of them I had an idea of what I wanted to do with them, but one of them I wasn't really too sure. So basically, the owner of the auction house and this like security guard that she'd hired, who was like an ex-con man essentially, and like a real braggart, and I kind of had an idea of like what I wanted to do with him, which was he was just like telling those stories, like he had lost an eye and I was just like improving it, which was really fun because they were like, oh, so is your depth perception bad? Now you've lost an eye. And I was like, no, no. If anything, it's even better. In fact, when I had two eyes, I had to cover one because my eyesight was so good, just to bring myself down to that everybody else's level. That sort of thing. Just like telling stories about like fighting ten orcs with barehanded, with both my arms broken and things like that. It was just a fun time. And
It's just a
the
flesh wound.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what was great was that they placed like a lizard on his shoulder. One of them can like has a psychic communication with a lizard, and they placed it in this guy's shoulder so they could keep track of him. And he just went to a bar and got drunk. He said he was gonna like patrol the grounds, and they just kept checking in on him every now and again. It was great fun. Anyway, and the other character was the auction house owner, and I wasn't sure what to do with her, but then I was like, oh, I really like the idea of a manager who's like, everybody needs to work as a team. Let's all work together. And it was great fun.
Good.
So we've been having a nice time with that. So it continues to bring me yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it continues to bring me joy. I've got something else to enjoy, but yeah, it's great fun. Um, the other thing that I have done since I last saw you was I went to see Love Hurts. So I don't know if you know
What
what
is
this is.
that? I do
Yeah,
not.
nobody knows what it is really. It was just because I had a bit of time at the weekend. I was like, you know, my safe space is the movies, right? I just
Yeah,
love going to a movie
me
theater
too.
in the
Me too,
dark.
buddy.
It's the best. And it was on, and it's
Oh, wow.
Ke Kwan.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Our
I'm saying that
Goonie
wrong.
friend.
Yes. And I was like, cool. And I was also by the guys that made like Nobody, which I quite enjoyed, and one of the guys that worked
Mm.
in John Wick and things. And I was like, oh,
It's
okay.
got two Goonies in it.
Yeah, it does. That's true.
Hmm.
And I forgot about that connection actually until now. You're so right. And I was a bit disappointing, honestly, because it was just really flimsily held together. I mean, it was an R20. Like a movie was like an R20. It was over, which I appreciated. But and the action was good, but tonally it was a bit weird. And it was just a kind of mix mash of it was attempting to like marry a martial arts movie with I guess like a rom-commy style, so it was appropriate for Valentine's Day, and it didn't fully work.
I think I feel like movies that try and like attach themselves to a holiday
Yeah.
don't ever work.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, that's
Like
true.
really.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there's been some successful Christmas movies and stuff, but
I
by and
mean,
large,
okay, yeah, like A Christmas Story, but that's based
yeah,
on a book.
Bad Santa,
But like, yeah, like I'm not a Love Actually
fair
fan.
enough. Yeah,
Like
Love Actually
anything
is a
ha that
weird
has to
movie.
do with it is weird to me too. Too many cast members. Like I
Yeah,
don't like, you
and
know,
too many people being horrible to each other, being
right,
dressed up as, oh, it's so romantic.
right, right.
We were,
Uh,
yeah, it's,
so yeah.
we were having a conversation about this. I was having a conversation with his with a friend about this recently about like, you know, romance and this idea of like somebody asking, permission to kiss somebody else. And some people going, oh no, God, I couldn't do that. That's horrible. But that's consent though, right? I mean, is that
Yeah, it
but
is. Yeah, it is.
then it takes the romance out of the moment. But then I'm kind of thinking, but it's only a romantic moment if you want them to kiss you. If it's somebody who you don't want to kiss you, It's
I've been
awful.
in that situation and it's
Yeah,
not comfortable where you're just kind of like, oh, I feel weird. And then it's like, now what do I like?
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
confusing
yeah.
and yeah. So I'm right there with you. And it is consent. You're not wrong.
It's sick. It really is.
And
So
like
yeah,
sometimes I'll even like ask the kids like, "Hey, can I just give you a smooch?" And they're like,
yeah,
"Yeah," but like I don't like they're old enough now where like it matters who's in their bubble and like I
agree.
want them to practice that.
Yes, and it's also good for them to know that, I think, as well. And I think
Not that
increasingly,
they ever deny me because like I'm their mom and like they love me so fucking much.
exactly. But you're right, because like it's smart to do that now, because like there are so many people who are just like habitual boundary tramplers, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it's not, I don't know. I don't think it's great for other people in the world, really. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. But that's what I have for what's correct this week. Do you have any occurring?
I don't.
Okay, I
I think
don't
I've
think.
used all my time on that. What was it, last week or the week before?
Yeah, I do. No, I don't have anything. I thought, no, no, no. Well, let me see it for next time. Yeah, I've got nothing for this week anyway.
Okay.
So, shall we get into our topic of the week?
Yes. Yes.
Um, so, our topic of the week is called The Dreamers of Dreams. We're going to talk about dreams, all the kind of things that means. Was that a good sentence?
Yeah. Whatever. The bar is low. It's you're yeah, it was great, Andy.
Good.
That's
Okay.
the
Thank
best
you.
one yet.
Woo! I love it.
So, um, I wanted to come at this kind of like talking about like obvious dreams and like recurring dreams and dreams that
Yes.
we have, but also like how dreams are viewed differently in our different cultures.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was doing a little bit of like research and there's obviously some overlap, but there's definitely some differences that I found to be pretty interesting.
That is like, and I suppose that kind of makes a ton of sense. And I mean, like, Um, something I've thought about in terms of cultural differences, well, I mean, in all aspects of a culture and how that influences how we think, how we act, all
Mhm.
those sorts of things. And you introduce somebody in a different culture and something that may seem normal or standard, I guess, could be very kind of odd to, people in that area. And
Yeah.
how could that not affect your dreams?
Yeah. And also interpretation of dreams
Yeah.
and their meaning is different in some ways. Um, so I'm going to give you the definition of dreams
Okay.
because you know
We-
me. So a
Webster's,
dream is
yeah.
right. I've actually defined all of this shit myself, Andy.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay. So let me put on my smart voice.
Sure.
Not because I'm reading off a piece of paper. A
Yeah.
dream is a succession of images, ideas, emotions, and sensations that usually occur involuntarily. I love that word for this. In the mind during certain stages of sleep, humans spend about 2 hours dreaming per night, and each dream lasts around 5 to 20 minutes, although the dreamer may perceive the dream as being much longer than this. The content and function of dreams have been topics of scientific, philosophical, and religious interest throughout recorded history. Um, and I think that's my first question is like, are dreams really involuntary?
I mean, that's a good question. I feel like so like there's and it's somebody I only really kind of fairly recently in my life was understood what lucid dreaming was. And lucid
Hmm.
dreaming is the idea that you have some sort of control of your dream. I
Hmm.
definitely have had dreams in the past where I've been like, hold on a second, this is
I mean,
nuts.
yeah.
This has to be a dream. Um,
And you've
and I've been able to
woke
like
like
steer it a
woken up
little
in your
bit, or at
dream.
least kind of woken
Ew.
us out of that.
I've
Like
never been able to do that.
limited only, and I think one of the things that kind of gets me there a little bit is that I think the common dream I have is that I get lost and I get really badly lost, or that I'm like, you know, going to get a flight or to get a train or whatever, and I get lost and I'm running late for it. That is a very common theme for me. I The interpretation whenever I first looked into that was that, there are aspects of your life that you're not feeling fulfilled in, maybe
Mhm.
creatively, things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but it is something that yeah, kind of keeps reoccurring.
I have okay, the worst one, the one that I hate the most that is a reoccurring dream is that all my teeth fall out or my teeth are like wiggly
Yeah.
or I pull
Oof.
my teeth out.
Ugh! Like the fly.
Yeah, basically. But that was like before I even saw the fly. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saw
yeah.
the fly for the first time like last year.
Oh,
So,
really? Oh no,
hmm
God, that
hmm
must have been scarring. That movie's woof,
yeah, it's a
spicy.
oof, yeah. Ooh,
Just
ah.
um,
Yes, it is.
can I tell you like because I mean I'm interested to dig in things a little bit more, but can I tell you about a dream I had
Yes.
within the past week? Okay, so
Yes.
and it's the first time I've really remembered it, and I talked about it and like, afterwards because so like I feel like in the dream, it's one of those dreams that felt like it took place over a long period of time. And I found that so interesting, you saying that, most of it can occur in 5 minutes, but it can seem like a long period of time. But
Mhm.
in the dream, I was having a love affair. I was in like, I feel like it was in South America or possibly Asia. Anyway, I had met a young man in this dream I was having a torrid love affair with, right?
Yeah.
It gets better. And this is where it really and but there was part of me was thinking, well, I think this guy might be conning me, like he might be like running a grift on me. And the very kind of final part of the dream was I was standing outside, like I felt it feels like a hostel or something. And so this guy, somebody comes out to me, goes, "Sir, are you sure you want to make this payment?" I'm like, "What payment?" And it goes, "There's a house deposit payment is just about to be put in your credit card," and I'd given this guy my credit card details. And then I was kind of like, I'd given, like, as I say, my lover these credit card details, and that's when I was like, "Hold on, what is happening here?" And that's I kind of woke up. I remember waking up pretty quickly after that.
I
So
had
yeah,
a dream. I had a dream a couple weeks ago that I paid I want to say it was like $3 million for like 350 foot like retired Navy ship.
okay,
And I was like getting a tour of it from like the people that would run it. And it's like really run down and like dripping. And I'm like walking around being like, oh my God, I gotta like figure out how to do that. And look at all this netting and ropes and like,
hmm
and I was like, Mike's gonna be so mad that I spent $3 million on this fucking nautical boat and like woke up and was like, Mike, like, and I told him about the dream and he was like, he was like, that actually sounds pretty rad.
He'd be like a 3 million well spent, Beth.
Right. And then he had a dream, I don't know, like a month ago. Because I either pets find me, or, like
Yeah,
if there's a like if there's a dog that gets out, I always find it in the road and get it back. So this
yeah.
happened yesterday, actually. I found a dog in the road, and I was like, "There's this I don't know. It's like an escape artist dog, so I know exactly who its owners it
hmm
is, and he just likes our backyard. So he'll just come wandering in,
Love it.
and then I'll ma manage to get him back on his leash and get him home. But so Mike had a dream that I brought home a lion
hmm
and was like, "Don't be mad, but there's a lion in the living room," and he was like trying to like make the kids dinner and like also not get eaten by the lion, and like
I
I
love it.
feel a little like that's something that could happen in real life.
Absolutely. I mean, I would not surprise me at all if you told me you brought a lion home. But it's nice, like, as it's like clawing through a door. It just needs
Yeah,
time to get used to the place.
right. I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy the giant cuts of meat at Costco. I have a friend who butchers cattle and you can just buy a half a cow.
There
It's
you go.
fine.
Perfect. It'll settle in no time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love it. That wouldn't surprise me. Um, yeah, it's like yeah, as I say, I think the only other one that I kind of maybe not a recurring dream, but I have multiple times dreamt, especially when I have desired something like, something for sale. So like something I want to buy. And it has
Hmm.
often been like a video game console or whatever.
Hmm.
I've had dreams where I've bought it and I've been playing it and I've woken up and been like, I can't wait to play this
Yeah.
some more. And then I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I already have that. That sucks.
Yeah. I've had like as a kid, like Christmas dreams were like Christmas morning and you open your presents and you got the thing you really wanted, and then you wake up and you're like, oh,
Yeah. I've got to say it's interesting because like I compare the actual experience like buying those things and first 2 minutes, plugging
yeah,
it in, setting it up is kind of thrilling, but
yeah,
like very quickly that wears off.
yeah.
It's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, this is a thing that I have and it's nice and all, but okay.
I remember my dad was always he was always like into real estate and always looking at houses and other houses, but like the worst nightmare he ever had, and it was like always a reoccurring dream, was that he bought a shithole in Kentucky where we lived, and he paid like $1 million for it, and it's
Mhm.
like a one-room shack, you know, and
Oh.
there's like a toilet in the living room, and he's trying to figure out how to like rig up a curtain that can go from like the ceiling to the floor to
Oh,
the ceiling, so you can have any privacy when you're using the bathroom. And like he's
that
like, how did I spend $1 million on this house?
I love it. That's
Yeah. And
hilarious.
now he would have those like every couple of weeks. It was so funny. It was so funny.
So interesting the things that just get lodged in there and then just get
Yeah.
kind of regurgitated. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this quote um by an Irish poet. It's called Ode by Arthur, and let me know if I'm pronouncing this wrong. O'Shaughnessy?
That sounds about right.
Okay. And it is, we are the, so blah, 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 blah. We are the music makers and we are the dreamer of dreams. And I like that.
Oh, I've heard that
So,
before.
well, it's because it's an Irish poet, of
Oh yeah.
course. Um, but it's interesting so I did a little research on this, and like a lot of your dreams, like the interpretations of your dreams as an Irish person Northern Irish person, sorry,
Mhm.
comes from Celtic lore.
Okay.
And a lot of our interpretation comes from the Native Americans.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, like, you know, if you dream, like, I actually took this from a reputable site on the internet called Irish something something. Uh, so if you dream of water, that means you're like concerned about an upcoming journey or fear of drowning. A common nightmare is many Irish cannot swim.
Oh, okay. I
Is
mean,
that true?
I
Like, do you have
I don't
friends that
know.
can't swim?
I'm
Can
sure
you,
I know I
can,
do have some friends who can't swim, but I would think that most of them could. I'm not sure though.
aren't you guys like surrounded by
I
water?
know. I know. Like it's so true. But there is absolutely people who can't. I am still kind of quite surprised. My dad can't swim actually. I think that's still the case. Like and he's just never learned how to do it.
Is it because the water's so cold, or that you just don't have
Probably. And I mean
pools?
like I feel like maybe when he was younger, there weren't quite as many. We've talked a bit before about leisure centers, which are kind of like YMCA's basically.
Hmm.
So I don't think there've been quite as many of those, but like, we've got them everywhere now. But yeah, I think probably years back it wouldn't surprise me entirely, but I would think I think most people would be able to now.
Hmm. I found that curious.
That is
So,
curious.
like here, like dreaming of water is not seen as like a bad thing. There's no fear concerned,
Hmm.
or that has to do with it. It's more like a good sign, like symbolizing like purity or like revitalization. Um, so it's more of like a good thing and not something that's scary.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It, and I suppose like, an interpretation that is, rooted in the place that you are is probably more relevant anyway.
Yeah. And I was thinking too, like back to the swimming, like it's different, you know, swimming in Bray, right? As opposed
Yep,
to swimming in like Key West.
so true. That
So,
is so true.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cold as shit.
Yeah.
That's why
I was like,
I got my
I had,
wetsuit.
yeah, like a thick one.
Oh yeah.
Um, I also I was reading about blind people that have been blind since birth
Uh-huh.
and like the things that they see when they have
Ooh.
dreams.
Mm.
It's totally different than the seeing people with um I know there's a term and I'm gonna hopefully use it correctly. Seeing people can uh obviously like see things differently. So people that are blind since birth or not seeing since birth, it's a lot more sounds and feeling and less
That
uh
makes sense.
sight related, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting. I
Mhm.
yeah, I wonder what that term. I'm trying to figure out what the term is.
I
Yeah,
think the correct term for blind is not seeing, but I don't know what the opposite is.
yeah. I'm just curious now because like it's interesting because like I learned yes, sighted. It's sighted is right. Yeah, you got it right. Because like I recently learned that there's a word for so like autistic people are autistic, but like non-autistic people are allistic, which I didn't know. I didn't know
Huh,
that word until
huh,
recently. Yeah.
huh. I like that because when there's not a word for it, it I get confused.
Yeah, I like exactly, and I think it's a useful one, and it also like because I feel like we've talked a little bit about mental health stuff, and I've talked a little bit about trying to figure out where exactly I fit in. I'm
Yeah,
probably some part of the spectrum, I think,
yeah,
and you know conversations about the difficulties in understanding between, and I would always describe non. Uh, um, I guess autistic people as normal, which in a disparaging way.
right.
But I think that's not helpful necessarily. So, yeah,
What is normal
exactly,
anyways?
exactly.
We've
But I thought that was interesting.
huh. So, do you ever have dreams where you're flying or
Um,
falling?
I don't think so. I I have a recurring memory of being in a plane. I think my memory is from when I was a kid and I was in a plane and I looked out and I saw the clouds for the first time and it kind of crops up in dreams sometimes. But like it's one of those things where it's
You
like
were going to Guernsey, weren't
I
you?
was. We've
I
talked about this.
remember.
Hmm
I was actually
Nice,
listening to you.
nice. Wow, incredible. And that has popped into dreams before and but it's one of these things where it's like uh, memory is, what, one part truth, several
Mhm.
parts creativity and,
Yeah,
misremembering things.
yeah, yeah.
So that
I
comes up and that's fine. Yeah.
Do you notice like how your dreams have your dreams changed from when you were a kid to like who you are now?
I think the dreams that I was telling you about, the recurring dreams, only started occurring later in my life. I mean, maybe 20s, definitely 30s. I feel like I remember having those sorts of dreams when I was traveling and I was like, in different countries and things like that, which would have been
Mhm.
late 20s, early 30s. But yeah, I think that's the most significant shift. I think that like when I was younger, a lot more of my dreams were connected to fears, I guess, like so I suppose nightmares as much as
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
And like I don't think that, that's that much different to my current dreams in that they are also connected to fears and fear of like the unknown and um, as I said, it's definitely almost like a fear engagement whenever I feel lost a little
Hmm.
bit,
Hmm.
just different shape.
Hmm.
What
I
about
think
you?
mine were more, I remember having more nightmares as a kid. And maybe it's just like I can sort it better now that I am an adult and, you know, I don't have a parent to run to.
Yeah.
So like, but I remember having like a recurring dream as a kid where we were in North Carolina. I was on the dock and like my family and the dog were on the other side. It was like there was like water between the dock and the beach,
Hmm
but it was like boiling blood water. It was like blood red and it was boiling. So, because and I was trying to get to them and like they were trying to like figure out how to get to me. And then like the dog jumped in the water and was like
Ooh,
trying to swim to me. And so I jumped into the water to try and save the dog. And like I woke up, but I remember I think I had that dream like 5 or 6 times, which is pretty
interesting.
intense for like, I think it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 having that
Yeah,
dream. Um, and
that is
I,
quite pretty intense. Yeah, especially like,
yeah,
yeah,
like
I know how much you
being,
love animals as well. Seeing that dog
yeah,
jump in, it's just making
yeah.
me
And I was
go,
like, oh God, no, like anybody else but the dog. So,
yeah, I hear you.
yeah.
I don't know whether you
Where
can
is she?
hear her. She's like, I don't know what's up with
She's,
her tonight. She's like trying to get in. She's like, I can hear her wee claws against the door.
I can't.
Just okay. I'm glad that you can't. I don't know
No, it
what's
doesn't
going
matter
on there.
anyway. We
I'm
love us
probably
some Sasha.
yeah. I'm probably gonna be in big trouble whenever I go out there,
Sure
but
you
it's fine.
are.
Whatever.
Just like
Um,
normally you do this to me on Mondays,
I
not
know this is
Tuesdays.
true. This is true. This is knocking our schedule out of whack.
My
Um,
dreams now
mhm.
are like, other than spending too much money on like, boats, uh,
Yeah.
I just talk to people.
Oh,
Like I'll
interesting.
literally sit and just like have a full-on conversation with somebody.
Okay.
And like it's usually fine, and like it's like going out to coffee with someone. It's really boring and like not interesting. And I wake up and I'm like, okay, I just hung out with that person. And like, is it a sign I need to hang out with that person? Or does dreaming and like having a conversation with them count? And I don't actually then have to hang out with them.
That's a very interesting concept.
Uh-huh.
I think it only counts if they've had the same dream, right?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
But
Do you have
that's
any friends that have like similar dream? I guess I don't know if it's like cultural to talk about dreams, but like my friends and I do talk about dreams and interpreting dreams.
I, the only reason I think I don't is because I'm a guy and guys don't tend to all too often. Do you
Be
know what I
like,
mean?
dude, I had this crazy dream.
Or, yeah, very occasionally, but only if they're absolutely nuts. But I feel like in this country, by and large, if you're like, I had this dream, people are like rolling their eyes so hard that, they're about to drop out of their head, which
Gotcha.
is a shame because like I do find them kind of fascinating. Like it's really what gets me about whenever somebody's like, right, let me tell you about this dream. And like 10 minutes later, you're like, oh shit, this is still going. How long is this dream explanation going to be? Because, a lot of times they're completely nonsensical, and I think, you can maybe give me like a Cliff's Notes sort of version, just give me all the highlights rather than a like, then this thing happened, then this thing happened, and you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's no there's no real through line for me to hold on to here. I'm
Yeah.
confused as hell.
Yeah. Do you think the dreams mean anything?
Um, I think they are a way for your brain to kind of maybe try to process some shit, particularly probably shit that you're not processing in your real life,
Yeah.
would be my thoughts. What do you think of that?
I think it's deeper than that.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, I have a friend um who is always like she's kind of like half in this world, half in like fairyland. Um, and I think that's a wonderful place to be. Like
Yep.
she's really cool. And like there are nights where like I'll have a dream where she and I are hanging out and chit-chatting in my dream. And she'll text me the next day and be like, I hung out with you last night. I'm like, yep. Like this has happened probably 5 or 6 times.
Love it.
And I'm like, so I feel like there might be more to it
Yeah.
if you're open to it, maybe, and if you're able to remember it, that, things might actually be happening like on a subconscious level, but in a maybe not in a subconscious level as much as we think.
I mean, we've talked about
To be totally witchy about it. Haha.
no, but it's like, I'm, right there with you in that regard because,
Yeah,
and like one of the things that we have talked about on this podcast multiple times is, and
we
even
know nothing.
personally, is we know nothing. We know
Yeah,
fuck all, some total fuck all. So who knows? Like who knows what it is we're tapping into whenever we're dreaming, whether it
yeah,
is something more. And I think it's like good to be open to that as a possibility.
Yeah. And I think too, like who knows how it relates to quantum physics?
Yes,
Who knows? And we're so into the multiverse right now, and like there's one right there, and we're like, whatever,
so
this
true.
let's interpret it this way, but maybe it's actually like,
But I suppose it's easy.
us in another universe.
I think, like, as a self-defense mechanism, right? People just kind of dismiss that stuff because, it's too scary to, consider what the other possibilities might be,
It's true.
for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
no, I'm afraid of space. It's terrifying. It's cold and dark and dead.
Yep.
Um,
I think it's the place.
uh So
Sorry.
space is the place.
Space is the place. Yeah.
No, that might have to go on a t-shirt.
Yeah, okay. I think I
When
ripped it
space is the
off.
place, and
Okay.
then on the back, space is not the place.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're Andy in
Right,
brackets.
right, right. So okay. Um, do you think that like do you think that how you take care of your body and the food that you eat maybe has something to do with like the dreams that you have?
That's a good question. And funny, it just came up recently because as we were playing D&D the other night, my friend put on like a cheese platter for us.
Yeah.
Which rocked because like I always
Yeah, I
love
mean,
like a big like here's many different cheeses for you to try, many different crackers, and I'm like, fuck yes. And then in the group
that's like my
chat,
dream. I love
oh,
it.
amazing. I was so happy. I was so thrilled. And the next day there was so much conversation about, okay, what cheese dreams did you have? But like nobody had any good stuff. Like I feel like I didn't have
That
any.
but people ask that question.
Yes, they did. And guys as well.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
right.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Very progressive.
Well, yeah. You're like, well, I didn't have the Gouda, so
Yeah, this is true. Makes me think about oh God, it's completely irrelevant. I'm gonna go off tangent anyway. You know the meaning of life sketch
yes, which one?
with the salmon moose, and
Yes,
they all die,
they
and
all
death
died.
taking them away, and it's just it was a salmon moose, and like, oh, and they're all like leaving as ghosts, and one of them's like, wait a minute, I didn't try the salmon moose. Anyway.
Okay. So I looked at um the top 10 dreams in the USA and in Ireland.
Hmm.
Okay, so in Ireland, the top 10 things or nine, however many, it doesn't matter. Number one, snakes. Number two, spiders.
In
Number three,
Ireland,
yes. And I was
right?
like, you guys don't even have snakes.
No,
I know. And you can't swim. What
it's
is
true.
happening? Okay,
Weird.
so
Okay, sorry.
snakes, spiders, teeth, death, rats, falling, sex, pregnancy, being chased, and water.
I don't even make the top 10. That's wild. Okay. How interesting.
Right?
Fascinating that, I mean, like, I could probably have guessed some of those, but like some of the rest are wild to me.
I know. And like I don't know who they polled either,
Yeah.
but that's what and this
That's
was done in 2024. So it's not like,
fascinating.
yeah.
I guess the
So
freaking legend of St. Patrick looms large still in the Irish psyche, even to this day.
I mean it does
Wow.
here too.
Yeah, it's true. Let's get shit-faced.
Let's drink green beer. Okay, so in the States, number one, work.
Oh
Two,
God.
dead people that we love. Three, riches and success. Four, family and relationships. Five, travel and vacation. Six, flying and running. Seven, like your general nightmare. Eight, death and dying. And then nine is like daily life and routines.
Jesus Christ, America, that is depressing as fuck.
Isn't it depressing? I
Like all
mean,
of that breaks my heart. Nearly every single one of them. Like the Irish what list is nuts, but like at least I'm like, okay, I can kind of get a lot of fears and stuff, but like, wow, that's
yeah,
heartbreaking.
I know. I know.
Hey, hey,
Number
hey.
one being work. I was just like,
Oh,
yeah.
That bums me out so much.
I'm here to bum you out.
Yeah. Wow. Oh God. What a nightmare. I'm sorry, America. What
I
is
know.
happening?
I know.
Yeah. Um, that's wild. Truly wild. I mean, I'm glad you led with the Irish one. But like the American one almost is even worse. Ah,
Yeah, it's a lot of like, you know, it's literally how we live our lives, like,
yeah,
right?
it's true.
And the issues that we have are in our dreams also. There's
I
like no escape.
I'm now kind of curious to see, what are the commonalities in dreams in other parts of the world as well. Do you know what I mean? Whether there's
Hmm.
any correlation, like, and because I'm sure, you know, if you went to another sort of work focused culture like Japan or whatever, that would loom large in dreams there too.
Probably. But I think I don't know. I feel like there's more mysticism almost, um, more focus on animals, I just feel, I don't know. I was really sad to read the American
Oh,
one.
truly. Yeah, and I,
And then the Irish one just made me like laugh.
yeah. I love the insanity of the Irish one. Like, it makes me feel really kind of, optimistic about Ireland,
Yeah, I
honestly.
know. I know.
Yeah. Um,
You're a fertile people
the vi-
dreaming about pregnancy
and snakes and
and
spiders
snakes and
and
spiders.
rats.
Do
Like,
you guys
I
have
mean,
rats?
we absolutely do, but like, once again, I would not. Rats are not as big a problem, at least in my understanding, as like America. Like in big cities in America, because we don't have those, mass clumps of people
Yeah,
that
yeah,
America has.
yeah.
That attracts rats a lot of the time. Wild.
So yeah, so we're bound for another bubonic plague. Okay, so I looked into dreaming of clouds
Hmm.
for you. Um, so and this would be the Irish interpretation. Maybe a fear of something you're covering up or a depression you're feeling.
Oh, okay. I like it.
So if you dream about your clouds from your airplane,
Give me that again. Sorry.
maybe a fear of something you're covering up or a depression you're feeling. So I would
Yeah, that
wonder
makes sense.
if you have that reoccurring dream and you wake up and you're like, am I depressed right now? Or just feel
I mean, normally, yeah, there's an element of it there, so that kind
hmm.
of kind of adds up. Um,
So
Interesting.
so yeah, so and then you were just talking about like other places and the types of things that they dream. Um, Aborigines
Yep.
believe in something called the dream time.
Yes, I'm aware of this.
So you probably know more about this because you actually lived there.
Hmm.
Um, but like I remember I think my dad and I used to talk a lot about dreams because this brought up a bunch of conversations that he and I'd had, but he used to write screenplays and like he would be working through a script and trying to figure out something and he would get stuck, but then he would be like, I know I'm gonna go in the dream time and I'll fall asleep and when I wake up I'll have the answer. And I
Mm.
was always like, so I Googled that when I did my research, not this morning,
Hmm.
um, weeks ago,
Weeks ago.
weeks ago. Um, but like dream time or the dream state, like he talked about it all the time, and I didn't know that that was an Aboriginal concept, not even
Okay.
concept. It's like literally something that they do, and they believe that the dream state is like where creativity comes from,
Yes,
and like how cool to because I think we don't necessarily, at least in the States, think of dreams as being like a positive thing or like having any
yeah,
real bearing in life, but the Aboriginal people really, really do, and I think that that is very interesting.
like I have to say, in terms of, I learned nothing about it in Australia because,
Okay.
Australia's relation to like Aboriginal culture is uh difficult, I would say at best. But I feel I definitely was aware of it. I think I was aware of it through comic books actually. I
Mhm.
feel, and I'm trying to remember exactly, but I some of the stuff you were saying there absolutely makes sense and stuff that resonated with me and that I'd heard about before. Um, but yeah, it's so interesting. I do kind of like. I mean, obviously there have been, dreams that great. I was going to say great leaders. I don't mean great as in good necessarily, but people who had a lot of influence, dreams that caused them to absolutely change the course of history,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, as as guidance, it's such an interesting thing. It really is, when you consider that we have still today no idea where they come from,
Hmm.
in that they are involved in decision making. It's just fascinating.
Hmm. And I don't know if I would ever like, do I need to go buy a boat
Yeah,
and move my
$3 million
family?
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
at least.
Or 350 feet is big too,
But
right?
it's big. You need a crew.
I would need a crew.
Okay,
Yeah.
sign me
Well,
up. Like, I mean, like, I'm
do you
pretty
get sea
incompetent.
do you, I know. It's like, do you get seasick?
I'm not too bad for being seasick, but I probably couldn't do anything of value in the boat. Well, I could cook, so
That would be good.
yeah.
That would be good. Okay.
Right, sign me up.
Um, so let's see. I have a list of questions. I guess like, would you want to communicate with people in your dreams and have it be real? Or do you just want to like tap out and be left alone?
Like, I think I like, but the question is, do I want to communicate with people in real life? And the answer is,
Nah, I know, right? That's a fair answer.
so like, I was just thinking about I was listing my hobbies, like all my favorite hobbies to a friend the other day, and we were talking about it earlier, and it's like reading, playing video games, reading comic books, going to the movies, all things
Hmm.
that I can do silently. It's
Hmm.
my time.
Hmm.
So like, uh, I think if you could, you not manipulate, that's gonna be the wrong word, but if you could like use the dreams, to maybe enhance thought processes and as a way to collaborate with on people and stuff. I think I would quite like that. But I think that they are so, certainly in my experience, so random and so
Hmm.
like it feels like they are very revealing to the core of who you are in a way that is quite exposing.
Hmm.
That would be my kind of concern. But like, at the same time, not that I give us that much of a shit. Like I just told you about being seduced by my Latin American lover, possibly, and getting bag photos, so I don't give a shit. But so yeah, I'm an open book, as you know.
Yeah. I like the idea of um dreams causing like positive action,
Yes,
right? Like a good old epiphany is
yes,
never a bad thing. So if, the universe wants to invite that into my life, that'd be cool
yeah.
because, sometimes I flounder and I have no,
I think.
like, I haven't even watched any of the Oscar movies. Like, that's how,
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah. And I was excited to do it. And now I'm just like, I don't really want to watch any of these
I
movies. They
really
all
want to
look
see
like they
Nora
suck.
so badly. I wish I'd seen it in the cinema. I'm hoping it gets a re-release if it does well.
Well, you
Anora?
can, yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
No. Um, like I feel.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what's. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked with us. I'm not gonna get it. We'll not get into it. This could be another 15 minutes here of talking about Oscar movies. Um, yes, I think I like how you're thinking about it there. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Um,
Do you like dreaming?
um, not all the time, but sometimes it's good. Like, I don't like that. I don't like my recurring dream. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel a bit discombobulated. So I'm not crazy about that, I would say.
Yeah.
What about you?
Um, I like seeing my friends and talking to my friends in my
Yeah,
dreams. Like I think actually like I know it sounds lame and I keep saying like it's so boring, but I really, really enjoy it.
yeah,
And um maybe at some level like we really are talking to each other
yeah.
and I'm cool with that.
I like that. I
And
like that.
like it's interesting too having kids. Like the reason that I thought about this because um my daughter woke me up the other night and she was like, I had a nightmare. And I was like, okay, so I just usually either let them crawl in with me or I'll crawl back in bed with them,
Hmm.
wait till they fall asleep and then go back to bed. Um, and she didn't want to talk about the nightmare until the next day. And and it really affected her. And I was like, dreams are weird, man. Like we should talk
Yeah.
about this. But for her, it was Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
So we did
interesting.
all three movies over like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and
There's
it's
some
a
pretty.
lot. Like she was super into it. She's super into fantasy, but
Yeah.
like, um,
There's some
I don't know.
scary stuff in there.
It's so well done that
Yeah.
it's yeah, like orcs are scary, you
Yeah.
know?
The She loves scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
was like drawing that the eye of Sauron. She was like,
Yeah.
this is realistic, and they've the ever-present, omnipresent eye that's just like, you know.
Yeah. It
So
is.
I I have to be careful about the things that I show them
Yeah.
because it does affect them. And
And it,
also like what am I showing myself and doing in my daily life that then affects my dreams,
so
you know?
true. That's so true. I know. I
Yeah.
know. Um, yeah. I love it. Do you want to do you want to do anything else with this? Do you have any other questions, or should we maybe wrap things up and move on to our last week section?
Wrap it up.
Okay. But it was a good chat. It was interesting.
I'm just fat. I'm gonna Google Irish people and swimming when I'm done
Yeah,
here.
okay. I'm kind of curious to find out about that myself. This is one of those times where I claim to be British. No, I don't know.
You're like, I have a
I'm
different
British.
passport,
I
sorry.
I'm constantly I've got a group. I'm in a chat group with a Canadian friend and an American friend, and like
Uh-huh.
anytime they give the Irish shit, I'm like I'm just grateful I'm British. And anytime they give the British shit, I'm like I'm just grateful I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Changing sides to
I'm
whatever
so
suits me.
jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous.
But yeah, good chat. I think we shall move on to our final week section, which is what's been bringing you joy this past week, or longer.
Early Nick Cage movies.
Interesting, specifically.
Yeah, specifically Raising Arizona
Yep,
with Helen Hunt.
yep,
So good. So good.
it is.
And then I started Moonstruck yesterday and I was like,
Okay.
God, and like him with his wooden hand. And she's like,
Share?
You're the, yeah, with Cher,
Yep.
because I'm reading her autobiography,
Yes.
listening to it. Anyways, so I'm just really enjoying like before he was, before he had his teeth capped and, had his hair plugs and was
Yep.
just like really, really, you know, going for some crazy freaking weird roles.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like that was around Wild at Heart Time as well, wasn't it? The
yes,
Lynch one?
yes,
Yeah, which is
yes.
another kind of nuts movie.
That's on my list. So I was
Yeah.
just like, I need to like give this. I don't know why I'm avoiding the Oscars movies, but this is what I'm doing with my time. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Like even Conclave, which I enjoy. I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed. I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I would tell people like they had to see it.
no, and you
Um,
can tell which ones he's doing because he needs the paycheck, to pay
yeah.
off child support or whatever.
Yes.
Which no, like do what you got to do, dude. But
Absolutely.
yeah. But uh, the one that turned me back onto like his work was what's the one with him and Pedro Pascal?
Oh,
The
I always forget the name of that
Incredible
movie.
Burden of what is it called?
Greatness, or
Yeah.
I know exactly the movie you mean. I always forget the name. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's good fun.
You should totally see it.
Yes, I it's been on my list for a while. Yeah, and it's just because I
The
also love.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That's it. That's it. It's a
And if
great
you
name.
want to see both of them pretending to be on acid, like you should totally see this movie.
just the fact that it's the two of them together is
Oh my
really
God,
appealing to me.
it's
And
so good.
there's been a couple of his recent ones like Mandy I've been waiting to watch, and the what's the other one? Color Out of Space or Color into Space or something like that. I've been meaning to
Nick
watch as
Ca-
well.
Nick Cage or
These are Nick
Pedro
Cage
Pascal?
movies. These are Nick
Okay.
Cage
He's
movies.
like doing a lot right now, so
Yes, he really is. But like I saw like he did one. It was like him in a. It was like a Five Night at Freddy's thing. I can't remember the name of that film, but it
oh
was
yeah.
fucking terrible. I thought.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
avoid that
saw the
one.
one where he was like the vampire with
Yes,
Nicholas Holt. And I
what's
did
his?
like that one actually.
I thought it was okay. It didn't. It was better. Or I think I went in with high expectations, and it was a bit disappointing, but it was still fun. Um, no, it's good. I mean, absolutely worth going back and revisiting his old films because he
Yeah.
is a unique actor at a
Yeah.
minimum.
Yes. Yes. What's
Um,
bringing you joy, Andy? Why?
so I just completed Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So I
Ooh.
don't know if you know what this is, but an Indiana Jones game came out late last year, which was, almost the idea of it was a proper piece of lore that fits into the Indiana Jones world. Um, but through a video game, and they got a guy in to do who does a fantastic job of like doing an indie impression, and you're basically visiting different sites around the world that the setup is essentially there's spoilers here if anybody else is going to play it, but there's these like different sort of artifacts at different holy sites around the world.
Mm.
And these sites form a great circle around the world. There are like 17 tablets, I think. And once, here's the big spoiler for anybody who wants to play it. So, in case you want to pause or whatever, they find the tablets. You track down the final kind of place where the Nazis have their final base, and they have found Noah's Ark, and they plug all the tablets in Noah's Ark, and blah blah blah. And like basically these stones allow you to like fold space and time and travel to different parts of the world.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, and like I really I thought it was a cool like I was I was up and down with it in terms of like at first I was like this is cool, then I thought some of the levels were a bit too big and it was a bit baggy, but I think overall it delivers quite a fun Indiana Jones experience, and it feels quite authentic, and I feel like that is was a really big hurdle to
Yeah.
pass, and they did a really good job with it. So yeah, it was
Like
good.
even the later Indiana Jones movies were like
I,
not.
I would recommend playing this over either of the last two movies for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Awesome.
it's good fun. Good fun. So yeah,
Good.
it's been bringing me
Good.
joy this week. But yeah.
Yay.
Okay. In that case, can you tell everybody where they can find us?
Yes, you can find us at bendypodcast.com. Buy a t-shirt, tell your
Yeah.
friends,
Tell your enemies.
and tell your enemies. And thank you to those that have left. We've got 5-star reviews on Spotify.
Love it.
No one has given us less than a 5.
Perfect. I love it. I've actually, and I don't know whether this is necessarily going to happen, but I ended up having a conversation with somebody in this country who also does a podcast who is looking for guests from other podcasts. There's a possibility I may end up guesting on
You
that.
totally should.
So we'll see.
You totally should.
And that might be a bit of crossover as well. So we could maybe
That'd be
get,
great. That will promote and promote.
yeah, exactly. So we'll
Take
see what
over the
happens.
world.
Exactly. Slowly but surely.
Right, right.
Right. Okay, we love it. All right, folks. Well, in that case, we've come to the end of this week's episode. And we'd like to remind you, as always, to stay
Bendy.
bendy. Nice, that was a good one. Long
Excellent.
one. All right.
Uh-huh. Makes me sleepy.
I know.
Bye,
We
everybody.
love
Love
you. Bye
you.
bye.